All right. Good afternoon, Simpler family. I hope y'all are doing well on this fine Thursday, December 19th. 6 days until Christmas. Happy holidays to all of you. Remember, next week is a shortened trading week, a half day on Christmas Eve, and then, of course, the markets are closed on Christmas Day. So, for this afternoon, the next 30 minutes, I am going to talk about the trends that I am watching going into 2025. Hey, Marco, how are you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. So, when looking at the current trend, I want to start with the S&P 500. It is the best representation of the overall market because it incorporates a little of the NQ, sorry, as well as the Dow. So that is my guide for the overall market, the S&P 500. I have up on my charts right now the ES futures, so the S&P 500 futures. And I just want to take note of the candle structure. I'm looking at a monthly chart, meaning each of these candles represent 1 month. So 2024 started right here on Sorry about that. I had a little cough there. Started on this candle, but you can see this trend really started back here in November of 2023. And this is the range I am going to measure from a Fibonacci perspective. The way that I use Fibonacci is simply measuring from where a move began up to the high, if I'm measuring an uptrend, which looking at these monthly candles, you can see that ES is in an uptrend. So, the areas that I want to point out is first off the golden fib. We call the 618 the golden Fibonacci because as long as price remains above the 618, this current uptrend remains intact. And you can see here that that is approximately 1,000 points above where price is currently at. So overall, this market is bullish from a longer time frame perspective, and it remains bullish as long as price remains above this 49.44 level. So going into 2025, my first thought is I will focus on buying the dips. Now, it doesn't mean that I will buy every dip. That would virtually be impossible. But I want to focus on names that are also in bullish trends and that are outperforming the overall market. So they look better than the overall market. Now, looking back over 2024, some of those sectors that are outperforming the market, and most of these should not come as a surprise to you if you have been trading this year. But first and foremost is the semiconductor sector. And the name that most interests me in that sector would be NVIDIA. NVIDIA is like the big daddy, so to speak, of the semiconductor sector. So I want to take a look at NVIDIA just like I did the S&P 500, and look at the overall trend. It is to the upside for sure. Last month, we created a new all-time high in NVIDIA. And as long as this trend remains to the upside, if I run some fibs here, I will give you that 618 level. That is $83.66. That is about $50 below where price is at right now. But just looking at the current trend in NVIDIA, as long as price remains above 83.66, I am looking to buy the dip. Another area in Fibonacci that we use here at Simpler in the Trendy Trading Room is the area between the 236 and the 382. When measuring an uptrend and looking at a stock that's in an uptrend, the 236 and the 382 is what we refer to as the bull channel. So I'm going to just mark that with a gray box here on the screen, and you can see that the bull channel for NVIDIA is 126.45 to 110.10. When a stock is in a strong bullish trend and it is pulling back, I like to know where this bull channel is. Basically, what we teach is in this bull channel, it is a buy the dip opportunity, and especially when we also have demand in this area. I am a supply and demand trader, and in demand is where we are looking for buyers to show up. And of course, when buyers show up, that pushes the price of the stock to the upside. And in NVIDIA, not only is this area the bull channel, but it also is a monthly demand zone. That demand zone is anywhere from 121.77 all the way down here to $90.69. So, NVIDIA is a stock that I own personally in my long term accounts. I own equity in this stock, and I have trimmed that equity. And now I'm looking for areas to add back into that equity. And this zone here, as well as the demand zone. So the bull channel and the demand zone represent an area that I'm looking to add back into my equity going into 2025. I'm actually very excited that we're getting some sort of pullback in NVIDIA because I would like to get my position back up to full size. So my plan is to add here in NVIDIA between 126 and 121, then adding again at the bottom of this bull channel near 110, and then finally adding back into this name between 96.88 and 83.66. Right at the golden fib here in NVIDIA, if semiconductors were to have a massive sell off, there is another demand zone on the monthly time frame. And if price were to make it back to here next year, this is the area that I intend to be at full allocation in my equity position on NVIDIA for trading it in 2025. So again, to repeat, the semiconductor sector has been the hottest, best performing sector of 2024. And based on that trend and the fact that I believe that semiconductors will perform well on into the future, I am focusing on NVIDIA to add into equity at these levels that I provided. Another way to trade this, and if you are a leap type trader in options and you would be interested in a leap type position, is you can trade the bullish ETF for the semiconductors, which is SOXL. I have a chart here and you can see that I have an area between 2906 and 1895 that I would be interested in starting a leap type position in SXOL. That's a tongue twister. And my target for 2025, whenever, it doesn't have to be at the end of 2025, but whenever the stock were to reach 65 to $74, that would be my target on a leap trade. Now, there are areas in between entry and stop that I would add to the position. Here at 18.95 to about $12 would be an add. And then again at 10.07 to 3.57 would be an add. And a stop for me would be a quarterly candle close below the bottom of this quarterly demand zone at 357. Now I commit to candle closes, and the reason I do that is sometimes you can get a big wick. For instance, here, you see this wick to the downside, but price ended up closing up here at about 38.66. It wicked all the way down to $25. Had I been in a position and had this 29.06 set as my stop, I would have been stopped out if I were not committed to the candle close, but you can see committing to the candle close, I would have stayed in the position. The same would ring true in 2025 if we get the pullback into this quarterly demand zone. If we get a big wick down here below 357, I wouldn't stop out. I would wait for that candle to close and it would have to close below this demand zone. Now, the only reason why I can do that is because the amount that I allocate to a trade, in this case, a leap trade, is an amount that I am comfortable with going to zero. It will not wreck my account if the trade were to go to zero, because the amount I allocate to the trade is an amount I'm comfortable with. All right. I want to trade the demand zone for the entire length of time that it was found on. And in this case, that would be a quarterly demand zone. I found it on the quarterly chart, and therefore I'm committed to that quarterly candle all the way. All right. All right. Now let's talk about another sector that has done really well in 2024. And as a trend following trader that likes to buy the dip when things come into demand, I am always interested in what is leading the way. And the next sector that's leading the way is the communication sector. That would be names such as Meta, Google. Those are the most popular for sure, but also some of your telecommunications, so AT&T or T-Mobile, Verizon, things like that. The Communication sector is a leading sector in the market in 2024, and so therefore I anticipate that 2025, as long as this bullish market trend continues, XLC will continue to be a leader in the market. So let's look at some longer term charts in those popular names, and I will start with Google. So Google is an equity that I currently own in my personal uh, long-term account, and it is also one that I have trimmed all during 2024. So I'm very interested in a pullback in this name to add back to equity. So let me get started here, and I'm cleared that drawing set so we can do this together. If I look at the entire year, and really where the market started trending to the upside back in the very end of October, beginning of November, and I measure with fibs the move in Google over that time period, you can see that Google set an all-time high actually this month, and it created monthly demand zone right in here. These are inside candles and then candles to the upside that creates demand. This area here between 168.77 and 147.22 will be an area of focus for me in 2025 because Google is in an uptrend during 2024. I anticipate it to stay in that uptrend and continue to the upside during 2025. So, some important levels that I am watching in 2025 on Google is this bull channel here at 183 to 171. This is an area that I will add some equity back into my long-term account. And then this demand zone that also has that golden fib in it between 168.77 and 147.22 is the area I will focus on in 2025 if I get a dip buying opportunity to add into the equity position. And, just like I was talking about with leaps in the semiconductor sector, the same would hold true for Google. If you're interested in a leap type trade in Google, this is a zone that I would accumulate options to the upside. So for me, that would mean buying calls inside of this demand zone in the event we get a dip in here to play it back up to all-time highs. This upper yearly edge is a trendy indicator that indicates an area of supply. So my target, if we drop back down into, say, 153, my target for the year would be 194 to 201. If we make new all-time highs, great. I will draw Fibonacci extensions to find higher targets to the upside. And the way that I would do that is I would start here in this at the bottom of this demand zone and go up to the all-time high and then get some extension targets to the upside here for Google in 2025. Now, a name that you might not realize has been an outperformer in the market overall this year is JETS, JETS. This represents the airline industry, and it is doing, sorry, It is doing well when looking at the overall year. It's actually up on the year about 30%, which is great. Looking back over the last year, having a 30% increase is a great increase. Now you can see that back in November or October, we created this low, and then in November, we created an inside candle, and the very next candle was an up candle. So this created a monthly demand zone down here at 1679 by 1470. Well, price pushed up to our upper yearly edge in 2024, and then you got a pullback. And this little candle here in August actually pulled back to this demand that was created back in December of the prior year. In August, price pulled back to this little demand zone here, and boom, up the market went. Then we have had 1, 2, 3, and 4 continuation months back to the upside. Now, how will or when will I look to get into a trade on jets or the airline ETF? So my first area that I would like to start a leap trade in the options, choosing the January 2026 expiration would be here at 1881, where we also created an inside and up. Then I would be looking to add to it at our lower yearly edge near 1750, and then becoming a full allocation trade between 1679 and 1470. Now I need to know where supply is at. First, I know where my upper yearly edge is for 2025, and that's at $25. I, though, want to look and find that supply. You have an inside and down candle formation right here. That is what that upper yearly edge is based off of. And the top of that would be here at about $28. So this would be the first target. So I would be accumulating options down here in this demand. And then my first target would be this supply. But I have higher supply above here. And in the event we get above that $28, this would be my ultimate target for 2025, a trade in jets, and price has not been there since, the COVID crash. So, looking ahead in 2025, this would be my ultimate target to the upside in the JETS ETF. All right, and it looks like I have time for probably one more chart to look at, and that is financials. The financial sector has been performing very well over the last year, and it is definitely a sector that I am interested in buying the dip in going into 2025. I want to look first at, let me take all these drawings off here. I'm going to look first at this monthly chart so that we can look back to that ever popular November when the market really took off. That's November 2023, and measure the current uptrend here. You can see, are we getting a nice pullback in financials this month? Yes, absolutely. Do I hope for an even deeper pullback? I do. The reason being is because the bull channel of this uptrend is here between 47 and $44. I have a monthly demand inside of this bull channel. That means for me, this is a great place to buy the dip. And then lower down in the golden pocket, I also have another monthly demand zone down here around 41 to 39.53. That plus my lower yearly edge, which anytime there is a lower edge or a higher edge, I like to include them in my zone. So this would be no different. I am interested in loading up XLF. Now, whether I trade the XLF sector itself or I pick my favorite name to trade inside of this sector. Um, I'm not sure which way I'm going to go, but I can tell you that I have a couple of names in mind, and that would be Citigroup and JPM. JPM because I enjoy trading JPM and have traded it for many years and do really well when I trade it. So JP Morgan and then Citigroup, both of those names are of interest to me as well as the financial sector overall. They're affordable for my account, and so I can trade any of those three based off of this nice looking uptrend in 2024. If I get that dip that I'm looking for, I would first buy this dip here at 47 to 44 and then save some powder or save some allocation in the event that we dip on down to this lower demand zone here inside of the golden pocket of this move to the upside. And those levels would be 41.28 to 38.57. So, to round this out, I am interested in staying with the trend, which, looking at ES, which is how I determine the overall market trend, the trend is bullish. 2024 proved to be bullish, and that's what I'm looking for into 2025. I'm wrong if the golden Fibonacci level is taken out and then it is resistance. That means I was wrong and I would shift focus and sell the rip. But for now, I am looking to buy the dip in the names that are trending to the upside, so in bullish trends, in the sectors of semiconductors, communications, airlines, financials, of course, the ever popular Tesla and Amazon, as well as uh, technology. So your Mag 7 type names. That will be my focus going into 2025. And I look forward to trading with all of my simpler family in 2025. I believe that it is going to be a great year. I only have a couple of minutes, but does anyone have any questions regarding what my outlook for 2025 is before I get off the mic here? I'll take some questions, or if you have a name that you would like to know how I would trade it, you can put that in the chat as well. All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions. So, as I said before, I look forward to trading into 2025 with all of you. I believe as long as we stay disciplined and consistent in our trading strategy, that we will find success like we did in 2024. So, y'all have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and I will talk to you next week.